welcome everyone to another edition of Deconversion Stories. And sorry about there not being a show this last Tuesday. Kind of a combination of reasons as to why. Well, first of all, ultimately, my guest had to reschedule because he got called into work and had to work a shift right during the time that we were supposed to go live. And second of all, I threw out my back. So that's always fun. Yeah. Putting my fucking work boots on, I threw out my back. I don't, it just takes a weird twist, weird move. And
okay. It. Neil, don't take your work boots off anymore. Just leave them on permanently. It'll avoid all of this.
I can't drag fucking oil everywhere. That's not good.
Not with that kind of attitude, Neil. Gotta be positive. Believe in yourself.
Right. I can drag oil everywhere. All right. Especially not on my brand new bed. Forget it.
I was going to say they have those little hospital booties that you can slip over your shoes. So you just keep those in the house, and then you have the long john version for when you take a shower. It'll be like having a cast, but you won't have to throw out your back.
No, I it was just every once in a while it tweaks, and I use my my doctor hose, fucking little zap pads that you put on there, and it works like really good.
Yeah. So. Are those the TENS machines? You
yes,
put the little
exactly.
I have used those before for my back. Because age is but a number. You can still have a really shitty back even before you're 30.
Just lick it, Neil, and then put it on the spot that hurts. That'll work. Guaranteed.
No, it won't work.
But make sure you lick it first.
Yeah, no, I'm not licking it first. Yeah, I was in elementary school when I discovered that too, buddy. Just do this. It's like stick your tongue on the frozen pole outside of the flagpole. Yeah, don't do that either. But now that we're not even on any topic at all, really, we're just kind of rambling on here. Welcome to the show, Jen.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. We've been talking about this for at least a year. At least a year.
Something like that, right? And we finally got it to happen. If some of you don't know, this is Genevieve, and she does that GD show with Dave Warnock, who may pop into the chat. I don't know. You never know. Dave kind of shows up everywhere all the time. So
He does. It's funny when he goes out of town. I'm really grateful. This last time, he just got back from 2 weeks in Europe. But every other time he has said he was going to take a week off to decompress and get off of the screens. He calls into the show and I see him in the chat. So I'm really glad that while he was in Europe, he did not do that. But it's always really nice to see him. I playfully yell at him, but I'm always just really excited.
Yes, Aunt your Dr. Ho. Yes. Great massages.
Cardi B is.
No, I'm kidding.
Cardi B is a physician.
Who the hell's Cardi B? What do you want? I'm old.
I have some Cardi mom in my kitchen. I'm so sorry.
We're killing Mikey.
Oh no.
Hey, Mikey, die quieter, okay? We're trying to do a show here.
He's just gone.
Yeah. He's like, no, screw you guys. I'm out of here. Well, you know what I do here, Jen? I talk to people about how they found their way out of whatever belief systems everyone's a part of. So basically ask folks to sort of take us back into those days and sort of tell us, how you found the little dominoes would start falling and wait, this doesn't make sense or that doesn't make sense or what the hell? Why do we hate this? Why do we not like that? And it kind of made you go, I need out of this.
Yeah. And it's funny because I don't have one of those stories because I am a cradle atheist. I've always been an atheist, but I've definitely gone through a journey of being a backseat atheist that didn't really talk about it that much, didn't really, wasn't part of my identity, to something that I was like, oh shit, we need to talk about this, and we need to talk about this a lot.
Right.
So that's
right. Well, did you have any religious folks in your life?
Not for a very long time. Both of my parents are were atheists. My mom was raised Catholic, and she actually adored going to study the Bible and going to all of her religious classes. Because she loved to read. She read Lord of the Rings, I don't know how many times. And she loved Greek mythology. And I think she was a teenager when it like hit her. She was like, oh shit, like, you guys think this is real? Oh no. Oh my god. I thought we were just learning like really, really fun tales. I thought this was like English class, but you actually think that there's like the devil and demons and saints and all this. Yeah. So she I wouldn't call her necessarily a believer. And then my father, he was born in Asia and moved to Georgia in like 1960, and he was just a scrawny half Asian kid with like English as a second language. And
Oh wow.
he wasn't very forthcoming about his upbringing, except for he had a very big bone to pick with Southern Baptists. And moving to Georgia in the 1960s, yeah, people are gonna be racist as shit, and a lot of them are definitely gonna be Southern Baptists. So yeah, I didn't grow up with any religion, and I was also raised in San Francisco, so it wasn't until I was about 11 years old that I saw my first Walmart, and when I had somebody ask me, so what church do you go to? That was really like the first thing that I remember as like, oh, wait a minute. I didn't know that people took this seriously. Yeah.
So really, so you never had like when you were in school or anything, you never had like folks that were in your classes or stuff talking about church and talking about Christmas or praise Jesus or any of that. None of that.
None of that growing up. It was really a culture shock when I moved to the East Coast as a child, and then like an even bigger culture shock when I moved to the Bible Belt as an adult. But no, as a kid, I mean, I hear people talked about Pokemon. I didn't have a lot of friends, so I didn't really have to worry about people preaching to me if they did go to church. But, I'd go to like, different bat mitzvahs, as I got older, things like that. But, I mean, growing up in San Francisco, there were churches everywhere, but all of them were super progressive. And like all of them that I saw none of them were like the fire and brimstone preachers whatsoever. I remember when I went to middle school, I think, and that was like in the early 2000s, all the rage was like saying something is gay, to say it's like bad. And when I moved there, I was just like, what are you guys talking about? Like, so many of my friends have parents that are two moms and two dads, and that's like my teacher. I was totally befuddled by any homophobia, and then also just any like outspoken religious beliefs. I mean, in 5th grade in San Francisco, I had an entire class that was just dedicated to human evolution. Like that was it, in addition to biology and history.
That's all a lie though, right? So
I mean, I've been completely brainwashed. It's been a real trip finding out that everything that I once believed is not true.
Right, but I mean, ultimately, eventually, we're all going to evolve into Wolverine, apparently. So,
could
be
one
worse,
would
right?
hope. One would hope it would make gardening so much easier. I have so much dirt under my fingernails, and I wish I could
chopping them veggies for dinner.
Yeah,
I'm just saying, if everybody's going to evolve into some sort of animal, can I be the cat from Red Dwarf because he's my favorite?
Yes, absolutely.
Wow! I look good.
This is the epitome of a cool cat.
Yeah, man.
I love that show.
McKinnon wants to evolve into Magneto, apparently. Well, he's a level 5 mutant, so that's not surprising. It's too bad McKinnon only has a level 1 IQ. I'm just kidding.
I thought I was like McKinnon or Magneto. Either way.
McKinnon's a level 5 mutant too. Oh yeah, we're gonna have to talk to him a little bit later too. And well, Jen, geez, I don't know. This is the shortest show I think I've ever done. So.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think that the there's definitely been a lot of shifts in my perspective as I've grown up. I mean, I would hope so. I hope that I don't think the same way that I did when I was 4. But
I wanted to
think
be an astronaut when I was 4, and look how
yeah.
that turned out, right? So
I wanted to be a paleontologist. I was dead set on it.
cool.
But alas, I did not do that. That's okay. Life is hard. I really admire the people who knew what they wanted to do when they were 4 and they just did it. That's pretty cool. But granted, a lot of people that I knew did want to be like space Barbie rock stars, and like that's not really a job that exists. You could create it. But no,
I don't like your attitude. That is not a can-do attitude. You get out there, you space rock stars, and you fulfill your dream.
Hell yeah.
Prove Genevieve wrong.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I was gonna say you can accomplish anything that you set your mind to. I do remember. Oh God, this is completely unrelated, but I remember being in high school, and when I was in high school, I volunteered at this elementary school down the road, and I would go there after school and help kids with their homework if English was their second language, or if they didn't have adults who spoke English who could help them like with their English homework. And I remember I was working with a few like kindergartners and first graders, and they had a prompt to respond to, and it was, if I were president, I would, and then they just have to write a couple sentences and like practice, And I remember I was talking to this, adorable little girl, and she just pouts and she's just like, I wish I could be president. And I wanted to say, of course you can, but she wasn't born in the United States.
Oh.
And I still
sucks.
I know, like for most things, I think there's nothing more important than like fostering a child's curiosity and encouraging them to get excited about learning and growing and doing things. And that was just one moment that still sticks out to me, as I don't know what I said. I know I immediately tried to say, of course you can, about that.
Okay,
Completely unrelated.
Okay, fair enough. Some things you cannot do due to government regulations and this little thing called the Constitution. But aside from constitutionally protected things.
Oh, damn it. I should have encouraged her to grow up and start a revolution to dismantle the Constitution and start anew.
Constitutional Convention. That's her ticket to being president.
Bingo. She probably would have been a lot more useful than any of the presidents that we've had in the history of the United States. So
I agree.
You do have these things in your Constitution that are called amendments.
Yeah, but we just ignore those. They gather dust. They exist. They're this ethereal thing, but there is no way to. There's no way to create new ones. There's no way to abolish old ones. They're all just a part
That's why they're called amendments, because you can amend things.
Can't hear you.
Like
just working.
Like jerky is called jerky, but you know what I mean. You see where I'm going here. The names, it's probably poorly named. Extensions might be better because they're not getting amended anytime soon. It's like jumbo shrimp. Like, come on, it's the biggest oxymoron calling them amendments.
Like military intelligence.
You heard that, Ben?
Bingo.
Ben is drinking, as Ben pointed out earlier. And I know why Ben is drinking. And Ben, I'm sorry, by the way. I know exactly why you're drinking.
No, good drinker.
Nope. No.
Okay.
Well,
anyway. Okay, so tell us a little bit then. You were talking earlier about you realizing you were this quiet, wasn't part of really your identity. It was sort of one of them underneath things, like most of us, I imagine, until things started going squirrely, and then all of a sudden we're like, hey, whoa, this theocracy shit's got to stop because we're not all believers. But like, what was it that sort of triggered you to become, more vocal, more of an activist kind of thing?
Yeah, well, I'll say I feel like there's been two, not to steal the Christian lingo, but there have been 2 seasons in my life where I was really outspoken. The first being when I moved to the East Coast in middle school, And that was the first time somebody asked what church I went to, and I just laughed at her. I was like, what are you talking about? Like, wait, you go to church? Like, why would I go to church? God's not real. Of course we don't go to church. What are you talking about? Did
Why
not go
are there
down
all
well.
these fucking churches?
Yeah, I know. They're like on every street corner. Like, I always saw churches growing up as, you know, it's either, okay, there's the missions because like the Spaniards were here and just like plopped those things everywhere, like a, you know, horse walking, taking a shit. But then there's also like beautiful architecture with some other ones. Like, I'd seen Catholic churches and, you know, like I said, I'd been to mosques and synagogues, but it was never like moving to the East Coast was the first time that I saw those churches that are literally just like a warehouse with like a digital board out front and nothing else. Like, not to be pretentious, but it's like if I were God and I came down to earth and I saw the house that you built for me, like, you know, I don't fuck with the Catholics, but I absolutely would. Like, they put a lot of heart and soul into that architecture. I'd be like, with a lot of the Protestant churches that I've seen in this town, I would definitely ask, like,
Did this used to be a Taco Bell?
yeah,
You have a tabernacle where the beans were?
I can tell this was a Pizza Hut. They all look the same. No, but
trapezoidal roof.
yeah, I would consider that interaction as sort of my first bout of activism because, you know, when I told this girl that I didn't go to church, she just lost it. She was like, "Wait, aren't you afraid of hell? Wait, you don't believe in Jesus?" And then and I was new to the
Jesus
school.
who?
Yeah,
Give me your last
I
name
was
here.
like, you mean like Buddy Christ and Dogma? And you know, we were talking because she was the person who was assigned to me to be my tour guide around this new school. It was my first time in public school, and it was totally overwhelming. And I was already like really angsty. I was already like getting deep into the beginnings of my emo goth phase. And when
Oh
she
boy.
wouldn't stop asking me, you know, why won't you repent and believe in Jesus? Like, the next day, after a couple of days of this, I was already wearing all black, but I put on really, really thick eyeliner. I got like as scary as I could. And at lunch in the cafeteria, I pretended to like put a curse on her and her family so that she would not want to sit with me and would leave me alone about the whole Jesus thing. And it worked. That's when I learned that magic was real. Like, God is what magic is, because I said the curse and then poof, she was gone. It was great.
You just started singing My Chemical Romance under your breath.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Black Parade or something.
No, Black Parade hadn't come out yet. But
Oh.
I was just.
That's when they were that's when they were less cool. Dramatically less cool.
I don't know. It took me a while to come to appreciate Black Parade. Like, when it first came out, I was like,
Yeah.
this isn't the same as it
This
was.
isn't
But
Three
now,
Cheers for Sweet Revenge.
oh, now it's a total banger.
That's a good tune.
Yeah, don't play a G and play nothing else. I will be basic and get really triggered, just like everybody else my age.
We like what we like.
Yeah. No, but like, you know, so I would say the first bout of my activism was definitely that moment. That was kind of me owning being an atheist and realizing that it was a thing. But then of course,
Pissing off the Christians.
yeah. And you know, but shortly after that came my first fit of rebellion. You know, like I said, my parents were atheists and very progressive, and you know, my dad had a lot of shit to talk about racist Southern Baptists, and my mom would just kind of get frustrated about, oh gosh, these religious people, they just shove it down your throat and blah 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 blah. And like, she was the one who was talking a lot of shit about Christians, and me
Go
being
mom.
yeah. Oh yeah, my mom is great. But you know, my fit of rebellion was like making friends at school who like wouldn't talk about religion. They would talk about, yeah, like music and My Chemical Romance. And then I'd find out that they go to church, and like the first time I kind of talked back to my mom was saying like, "Hey mom, like not all Christians are bad. Like there's some really nice ones out there." And it's like, and they're cool. But I think, you know, around that time was definitely when, like, YouTube was pretty early in its infancy, but I definitely found like a couple episodes of the Atheist Experience and watched that. And then, I was in high school and just got busy, like, doing my homework and working and partying and
Fucking
applying for
homework.
colleges. I know. And so that kind of, I didn't really think about it too much after that. It wasn't really a big issue in my life that I was faced with. They always say that, ignoring politics and ignoring issues is absolutely a sign of privilege. And that was sort of my privileged time of still remaining in a bubble where it wasn't a thing to deal with. I ended up moving back to California when I was like 19 on a whim, and lived out there, did my thing. I ended up getting married and moving to North Carolina, to rural North Carolina, because we were stationed at Fort Bragg. And then I got divorced and stayed in rural North Carolina. And that was really when I don't know, I wouldn't say obsession, but my curiosity about what the fuck is going on with American Christianity really kicked off. That was a trip. Going from San Francisco to rural North Carolina was a big, big trip. They made that girl in middle school look adorable. So that's really where that came from. And I also, just really quickly, I should also point out, I moved there in 2016. So if you guys remember that year, it was kind of it was a big year for Christian nationalism. Yeah.
Nothing major took place.
No, just some giant orange fucking twink got elected fucking president.
The unsafest safety cone I've ever seen.
He looks like an Oompa Loompa.
Oh gosh, he's like,
at least Oompa Loompas could sing.
This is true. But yeah, damn, that's accurate. I was just thinking about total like ADHD, spiral on this end. But
tell me.
So I mean, how like safety cones, they're bright and they're orange because so you can see them and be like, okay, cool, like thank you for keeping me safe. And oftentimes in nature, like poisonous animals, there will be very bright colors to warn people, like, oh, stay away. In this case, it's kind of both and the opposite. It's like if a dangerous animal disguised itself as like a crossing guard or a safety cone. It was like, oh, everything is cool here. It's a trap. It is so dangerous. And I was also about to say, it's like, if they disguise themselves as like a protector, like a first responder, and I was like, wait, nope, that's just accurate. That's not a safety cone. They're just dangerous.
I think America literally voted for the poisonous frog.
Yeah.
On purpose.
Yeah.
Like they knew it was a poisonous frog and said, I'll have that. It's like, that'll kill you. You telling me I can't vote? You're right. You can vote. I hope you just don't mess this up.
Fox News told me that I want to be killed, so let it happen. God damn it.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. Anyhow, thanks for entertaining my train of thought.
It's fun to go there. It's fun to play.
Yeah.
McKinnon made a good point. I think he says the Oompa Loompas could sing because they feared becoming the next new item that Willy Wonka was going to put in the candy. Because he liked to try new things, right?
Mm-hmm.
So. He sucked up that German kid, made him into streusel. Saw it.
Yeah. It was a pretty fucked up movie. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. It's great though. I loved it as a kid.
Yeah.
And the scariest part about that whole movie was Gene Wilder yelling at us at the end, and that was the only time I was afraid. The rest of the shit, objectively horrifying. But he yelled at us, and your office is weird. Take your gobstopper.
Gene Wilder I think Gene Wilder. When I was a kid, I would say that my two favorite actors were Genes. It was Gene Kelly and Gene Wilder.
I was going to say Gene Hackman. I was like, oh, wow. What a depraved childhood.
No.
Cranky Gene Hackman.
No, my favorite movies were Singing in the Rain and Blazing Saddles.
Saddles.
Yeah. And Dogma.
Dogma's good. I I don't know how Blazing Saddles would land today if they put
it
in
wouldn't.
theaters.
Yeah.
And that because people don't realize that it's intentionally spoofing that kind of shit, right? It's intentionally displaying blatant racism and how shitty it is, and it's the whole intent of the movie, right? A lot of his stuff was like that, anyways, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
With Young Frankenstein, it was mental health issues, and with Blazing Saddles, it's racism, and with what was the other one? The history
Airplane.
one. Not Airplane.
I was gonna say, are you thinking of just
History of the
Gene
World.
Wilder films, or Mel Brooks? Yeah.
Mel Brooks.
Yeah.
Basically. Gene was in a lot of his movies.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I think that Blazing Saddles, I think it would go over really well if it were released today with the right audience. But I'm afraid that there are so many people who don't necessarily understand that just because you hear how would I say this? I feel like there's some people who would watch it and they wouldn't understand that the racist people are the bad guys.
Mm-hmm.
They would think that like the whole butt of the joke would be the sheriff, when it's like, no, the whole butt of the joke is how terrible and stupid all of these people in the town are for being racist pieces of shit. So
yeah,
I don't know.
Exactly.
Yeah. But
To Canada.
yeah,
We don't have any room left.
The inn is full.
The inn is full. Our 3D house of pancakes is full.
Perhaps you have a stable. A manger, maybe.
Perhaps. Yeah, we do. You want to be away in one, or?
No, I don't, because then I'd have to go to Alberta, and that's where all the shitty Americans that go to Canada, they've all taken over Alberta. So
it's Canada's Texas, basically.
That's what I've heard.
Mm-hmm.
I have to say that I've never been to Canada, and I have friends who live in Canada. But I'm very
right here.
Yeah, I know. But I'm very ignorant to the the cultural nuances across all of the various regions. I see like Vancouver as Seattle North with lots of movies. Alberta, yeah, I've heard.
We call it Hollywood North, actually.
Yeah. Oh, there we go. Yeah, exactly. That's a much better way of saying what I said.
But it's very similar to Seattle.
Yeah. And then
Pretty laid back here. Alberta's your cowboys and oil junkies and shit like that over there. And actual junkies too. Edmonton's full of a lot of junkies. So yeah, they have an issue there. And of course I think they have the largest religious people. Maybe Saskatchewan will go in there too, but yeah, it's kind of our Bible-y built area.
What's
Alberta, Saskatchewan?
Saskatchewan's another province, right?
Correct.
What's the capital of Saskatchewan?
Would you tell me?
I don't know. I don't know what it is. That's what I was like, because y'all don't have states. Really, because your states would be like 8 states.
Provinces and states are the same fucking thing. They're just
they're
called
so
different.
much bigger.
Yeah, I feel like it seems like, because in the United States we also obviously have our states, but then we just really have our regions. So there's like New England, there's the Mid-Atlantic, there's the Southwest and the Pacific Northwest and the Midwest.
Hey.
Which I was gonna say, which one were you excited about?
The Midwest. I'm from St. Louis, but I live in Chicago. So.
Oh, nice, very nice. All of my family hails from there for the most part.
We all leave.
Yeah. I not to like just totally derail your show, but on Sunday I was at a bar and I saw that they had Malort.
Oh no.
Yeah.
You didn't.
Well, my friend is a distiller and he had never had it before. I had told him about it. I showed him like YouTube videos of sommeliers tasting Malorts, and it's like it was great. So yeah, we ordered some and I took a video for my Midwestern cousin and I called him out. I was like, "Hey, I saw this and I thought of all of you fucking weirdos out there. I don't know why you do this to yourself, but cheers."
What the hell's a Malort?
Oh.
Go on. Tell him about the toxic water.
Yeah, well, from what I understand, I believe that Malort originated with Swedish immigrants to the Midwest, and it is a spirit that I think is just straight up wormwood, if I remember correctly. Like there's no botanicals added to it. It's basically like drinking paint thinner
Yes.
that said like fuck other paint thinner. I'm like hardcore paint thinner. Like I'm gonna I eat nails for breakfast without any milk. It's the most
A paint thinner with a tribal tattoo.
yes, yeah. Really into MMA, hates women. It's like it's so
Men's right activist paint thinner.
yeah, and the only emotions it knows is like hatred, horniness, bitterness, and rage. There is nothing else. It is
How the hell
the
did
worst.
horniness slide in there?
Yeah, because
It's in there.
It's in there.
There's some chaotic energy inside that drink.
Because it
Enjoy
will
that,
get you
Ben.
very drunk. It'll get you very drunk, but it's just awful. It's the most bitter
Terrible.
thing that you will ever taste. It's one of those things that as soon as you taste it, you feel like you should call poison control.
Yeah.
Like you're just your whole taste, but your mouth goes numb. Yeah, my whole body just says this isn't food and this isn't booze. What are you doing? So yeah, that's the best way I can describe Malorts.
So what you're saying is, if I brought this stuff that we put in our antifreeze called Bitrex, that would probably improve the taste?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Dramatically.
1000%.
I've had one shot of Malort and someone bought me a shot for my birthday. Everyone's buying me drinks and dropping them off at the table. And I said, "Hey man, happy birthday." I said, "Thank you, man." And I took a shot of it. I was like, "Why would you do that?"
It's offensive.
And just walked away from him. It took me a good week to talk to Chris again because I was pissed. I was like, "You just fucked up my whole night. We're all having fun. We're laughing. We're drinking, dancing around to some music, and you pull this shit. What is this?
Ah,
Tried to ruin my birthday with this nonsense. What is this?"
Yeah, remind me after the show. I will send you both the video
video?
of a sommelier doing a review of Malorts. It's hilarious. And then also I'll send you the video that I sent my cousin because it's the reaction is very
Awful.
accurate. Anywho,
Awful.
I don't know how we went down this rabbit hole, but oh yes,
oh, it happens all the time.
the provinces in Canada, I don't know if I would necessarily consider them the same way I do states. It's more so like how we have these regions of like, oh yeah, that's where all these people live. But
It's basically the same idea. We just call them something else.
yeah.
By the way, Mikey, to answer your question from earlier,
Yes.
the capital of Saskatchewan rhymes with a woman's body part.
I'm
Regina.
gonna. Oh, okay. I was like, I'm gonna Google it before I rhyme it with the wrong body part.
Mulva. Seinfeld reference. Dolores. See, this is why we're friends, Andrew. Dolores? Yes.
Well played. Well played.
Oh, that's good. That's good. That's good. That's why I love the chat.
That's funny.
It's Regina. Yes.
Huh.
Regina George.
The home city of Georgia O'Keeffe.
Dolores. Oh, it's the best. All right.
So what was some of like the, because like in like your high school days, like you didn't believe in anything, but like your friends around you did. So were there things like you just didn't go to do because like all your church friends were going to do something? You know what I mean? Like were there like awkward?
No, well, I will say like I when I reflect back, I think that I was kind of like a judgmental prick in high school. So if I probably wouldn't have been hanging out with the kids that were going to like Bible summer camp or anything. The Christian friends that I had, they were the ones who would like maybe go to church on Sundays, maybe, but if they did, they didn't really talk about it.
Shitty sermon.
Yeah, it was, and even
Kill all the gay people.
and in high school, yeah, in high school, it wasn't like that I moved to like the deep south or anything. I was, I'm like 45 minutes outside of Washington, D.C. We're not, even the Christians around here. In fact, the first protest that I ever went to, I want to say I was like a sophomore in high school, and there I knew that the Westboro Baptist Church was coming to our town specifically to protest one of the Episcopalian churches. The Episcopal Church downtown, they had just hired a queer preacher. She was a lesbian. And
Nice.
so, of course, the Westboro Baptist Church came up. And I think around this time was maybe when I had watched the documentary Jesus Camp, and I like found out about these people and like watched their terrible songs on YouTube. And so, yeah, the first protest that I ever went to was in defense of a church against another church.
Ooh, church fight.
Yeah, church wars. Oh, I would watch that. I would watch that.
It seems it's time for the benediction, and then they just like come in with like the lightsabers.
Yeah, I'm imagining them just like summoning their various, what would be their weapon of choice? You've got
the Bible is their shield and their sword.
Oh snap! Unless
it
you
interlocks.
Unless, of course, I was gonna say you'd probably everybody would just get fucked up by the Rod of Iron Ministries. Do you know about those guys?
No, what is that?
Yeah, they're fucking brutal.
Yeah, so rabbit hole time. I'll keep it as brief as I can. The Moonies, they're a Korean cult. They're famous for marrying a shit ton of people all at once. So you'll see like videos of these wedding ceremonies with like thousands of people in a room, just all coupled up. Anyway, they were a very influential cult. They still are to this day, and they've been very, very intertwined with conservative American politics. Anyway, their leader, who was essentially like the second coming of Christ in their eyes, he passed away, and there was a family feud after that. Like his wife and his son didn't get along, so his son ended up leaving that church and starting his own church, and that's the Rod of Iron Ministries, started by this kid, Sean Moon. And they really focus in on this one Bible verse about a rod of iron and about Jesus telling you to take up your swords. And so they essentially like worship assault rifles, like AR-15s and AK-47s. This dude...
Is that the picture I seen of like the priest doing this over all the weapons?
Probably,
with the fucking holy sprinkler thingy or whatever the fuck it is.
Like if you see this motherfucker, this dude wears a crown of bullets and like a camo blazer, and when you see like them in their ceremonies, they're wearing these like white robes with like these hot pink sashes, and then they're like all just carrying guns, and it's just like, the fuck, bro? But they've had like various events, and they've had like Steve Bannon and like various Republican people running for office, and assholes. Thank you. The word escaped me. So yeah, I feel like if we were gonna say like, oh well, these guys, they the big showy mega church, they've got their drummer with like the sharpened drumsticks, and then there's the other guys that have like snakes. Like I feel like the snake guys would do pretty well, but then like Sean Moon would come in with a rod of iron and just show's over.
That's hilarious.
Hold on. Sharpened drumsticks?
Yeah.
That's a good way to go through your skins.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm gonna have to tell that to my drummer Colin. See what he says about that.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure, dude. He's got some sharpened sticks. You ever crack the tip off of a drumstick? That motherfucker could take out 6 or 7 vampires.
Easy. Yeah.
Well, he breaks them all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But he doesn't keep playing with them when they're.
They ruin your heads, man.
Then they're not drumsticks, they're just weapons. You haven't broken anything, you've just created 2 new things.
They're stakes, basically.
Yeah.
Energy cannot be lost, Neil. It can only be transferred.
Mm-hmm.
So the drumstick becomes the stake.
Or kindling.
Yes. Or something to make the garbage bag get heavier. Because that's where they belong.
All he did is triple coins, but
Oh, yeah.
good drummers never break a stick. That's not true. No
Can't
such
be
thing
hit.
as a drummer that never breaks a stick.
No, must not be hitting them drums very hard if the sticks ain't even breaking. He's got titanium sticks.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you're going to do that, then yeah, they won't break.
Adamantium drumsticks. Back to Wolverine.
So, Jenna, how did you get involved with Dave?
Yeah, so that was actually a really funny story. So
We like funny stories.
Yeah, I was gonna say it could be quite a long one or it could be quite a short one. The short version
got like
is
20 minutes.
Yeah, I was gonna say so. The short version is that Dave found me on TikTok. The long version is that so I moved to the Bible Belt and like I said, this is when I finally met people who it wasn't just like, oh yeah, that's my Christian friend. I guess they believe in God, but they don't talk about it. This is like, oh, you talk about it a lot. Or I was a waitress in a small town, and I remember the first time I was asked, oh, so like you just moved here. What, have you found a church yet?
Nope, wasn't looking.
No, I was such an idiot. I was like, oh, well, I do go to the yoga studio a lot. That's kind of like my spiritual practice. And I walked away and I was like, oh shit, like I haven't given them their check yet. I'm not going to get any tips. And so I asked if they had one they would recommend. I'm not proud of that one, but the hustle is real. One does what they have to do. But
got to get those tips, man.
So yeah, this was this is the first time that I, finally met people who did go to church multiple times a week, or like they at least grew up doing that. A lot of people who didn't believe in evolution or climate change, or like weren't sure about the age of the earth. Like I knew that these people existed, but I didn't realize how prevalent it was until I moved somewhere where I was like, oh, you're running for office and like you believe this. You're running for the school board and you're making fun of me for believing in evolution.
In reality,
that was
Yes.
So that was pretty scary. There was kind of a confluence of things. 2020 happened. I was a chef at a really small restaurant and we ended up closing.
Ooh.
So I was on unemployment and had a bunch of time on my hands. And a few months prior to that, my partner's family gifted me a Bible for my birthday. It was my first Bible. And I was like,
oh, wow.
Hey.
Well, thanks for the rolling paper. I mean,
yeah. And so, I started reading that. And when I realized, oh, this is what's in it. Oh, and you think this is really what happened. Oh, shit. Like I said, this is exactly around the time that COVID was happening. And I saw this really sort of tragic trend of people who distrusted scientists about just general reality and how they trusted science when it came to being safe about COVID and climate change. All of these things that are like kind of important if you want yourself and your family to live. And so that's
the future people too, right? Like,
yeah. Your family for generations, and also your family being just like Homo sapiens. So that, that's when I started reading the Bible and bought a shit ton of books by Bart Ehrman and just kind of dove into how can I talk about religion? How can I understand the people around me? And that year I started working in politics. I was a campaign manager for a local election. And I was surprised by how many people I met who wouldn't vote for a candidate who didn't believe in Jesus because my candidate was Jewish.
Can't trust them.
Yeah.
Trust them.
So, it was a whole, basically, I was diagnosed with ADHD years ago and re-diagnosed more recently. And I would say that the history of religion and the history, particularly of Christianity and how it's influenced the founding and current state of the United States became my hyper focus. And shortly after the election, that's when I had to move away because my father died. It was a pretty shitty situation. And that was kind of when I was first faced with people when they approach you and you're dealing with something like the death of a loved one. So often they'll want to say, you know, oh, I'm praying for you, I'm praying for your family. And a lot of people, you know, they would say that, and I would just totally be fine with it because I recognize that was their way of dealing with not knowing what to do. It's like, well, I don't know what to do because there's nothing I can do to make this better, but I will at least do this. And so that was fine. But then there was, you know, there was a nurse at the hospital who like really started to piss me off for a moment. You know, shortly before my dad died, my friend's wife passed away. And I was, you know, crying over my dad while he was in this coma. And this nurse, I'm just talking to her. I can't stop talking. It's probably why I do podcasts so much. You know, I was telling her all about how my whole idea was to spend like the next few months just being there for my friend. And now I have to be miles away here for myself and my own family. And that's when she said that maybe that was just God preparing me for this journey. And that's when I was like, wait, I was like, oh, hold on. You are telling me that God killed my friend's wife of decades. Like they were in their 60s, they'd been high school sweethearts. You're saying God did that just to prepare me?
Hey, mysterious
for
ways.
And that's that was like the first thing. As soon as she left, I said, I pray to God. I like looked at my dad and I said, like, I pray to God that you can't hear anything right now because I know you'd be fucking livid.
Yeah, I would be.
Yeah, and then the second thing that really pissed me off was you know, shortly after my dad died was when Democrats won control of the Senate, I believe, and that's when Mitch McConnell became the minority leader. And I made a little post about it in December about how I was so, you know, I was so sad that my dad wasn't here because I know he would really be celebrating saying minority leader Mitch McConnell. And as I said, people always say that they're praying for you during these hard times. I had a coworker say that she was praying for me, but not in that, like, I'm so sorry, but more so like, ooh, I'm a Republican and I think everything you said is wrong, but I'm still praying for you. Like a snarky kind of like a bless your heart kind of way.
Yeah.
And when I asked her to not do that respectfully, I was like, please, like my dad wouldn't appreciate it. Like, you don't need to pray for us. I would appreciate it if you didn't. That's when she told me that he was burning in hell. And I was like, oh, that doesn't mean anything to me, but I know that means some shit to you.
Yeah, that's that Christian love for you.
Yeah, so it's like that stuff was happening. I was hearing really shitty things from Christians in my own grief, and then I was also diving into what was going on and why the South and why the United States is the way it is. And you know, in that time, while I was grieving, I asked my friends to send me funny memes and videos to, you know, so I wouldn't just like cry about my dead dad all the time. And that's when my friend told me to join TikTok because she kept sending me TikToks. And around this time, I was watching Apologia's YouTube channel, and he did a show about like the 10 people on TikTok that you should follow because they're great. And the last thing he said was that, you know, one thing that you could do to help out is to just make your own content. It's super easy. Yeah. You just need a phone. And I had a phone and a lot of time on my hands, and I did that. And like 2 weeks later was when I got a message from Dave saying like, hey, I just watched some of your videos. I would love to do a podcast with you. So
can you do that in Dave's voice? I know you got a good Dave impersonation in there.
No. Oh gosh, I've never tried.
You can do it. You can do it. You're trying to play coy now. You got one in the chamber.
Oh man. Well, when I think of
it, so he sent you the message, and then it said what?
You know, he just said, "Hey there, Genevieve. It's Dave. I just watched a lot of your videos. Really enjoy your content. I'm doing a podcast. I'd love to do one with you." I was gonna say my Dave impression is not very good. He's a very eloquent speaker. He doesn't have a lot of like, you know, unique twangs or riffs. But have you heard him do his preacher voice? because that is beautiful and terrifying. But
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah, so like I said, that was kind of the long story of it, was that all of these things happened all at once around this. And it's also when, Donald Trump had already been in office, and that was really fucked up. And we also have people like Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert, and
Oh,
the
my
people
goodness.
that I met on the campaign trail. I learned all about how there is no hate like Christian love. It was
Mhm.
Right.
a lot to deal with, especially all of 2020. From police brutality to like people subverting democracy. It was really scary seeing how churches in my community were reacting and how little they were doing to, I don't know, deserve their tax exempt status.
Yeah.
When COVID hit, the other thing that I did was that I helped start a food program to cook a bunch of meals for people who needed them.
That's
Since
cool.
I was a chef, and I didn't have a job. I was like, oh well, I can cook. And so, we raised a bunch of money and bought produce from local farms that were struggling, and I would cook between
Well, that's really
700
cool.
and 1,000 meals. Yeah. And thank you. It was honestly the most fun that I've ever had cooking. I would much rather be making giant batches of rice and beans and like packing them up for families in need than like coming up with this creative gastronomical like masterpiece and charging $80 a pop for somebody who's totally going to hit on their waitress and be really inappropriate. So
Just go get the liquid nitrogen tanks. I got an idea for the peas.
yeah.
They go so
Yeah.
overboard.
And like this whole that whole time I was doing that, and the churches in my community weren't doing shit. They were complaining and rallying against the Democratic governor of North Carolina because they wanted to be in the house of God and they needed to be in person, and that like COVID was a hoax. And it was just, I'm just like, gosh, like why is it that I, like an atheist in your community, why am I doing all of your jobs? Like maybe I shouldn't pay my taxes, because like you clearly, like if I can take 40 hours of my week and do all of this stuff, you guys could maybe do anything other than just rally and be bigots and whine about how you can't meet in person.
Fucking shitheads. Yeah.
So
I think on one of my shows, like we do interviews with political candidates, and I think we were adding it up the other day. It's about 75 different candidates have come onto the show, and I've asked every one of them. I was like, well, I only have one real question. Will you help me tax the church? And all but maybe 2 or 3 of them, like a couple of them, like gave me a bullshit politician. I was like, I'd have to do more research on that. It's like, no, motherfucker, you know what I mean. But most of them are like, yeah, they're not doing their job. So if they're not doing their job, they're given a tax break because they're supposed to take care of needy people and clothe the homeless.
They claim to do that.
Well, they're not doing it nearly at the rate of their tax. What's it called? If everybody else is being able to keep up with them, if I'm still seeing people on the streets, if I'm still donating money to all these things, it's like, then why am I donating money to homeless people when the church is already supposed to be taking care of that?
And on top of that as well, what's really tragic is how the church will often just exacerbate those problems, because a lot of the people who go to church, people of all walks of life go to church, but it is insane how many people are poor, who can't afford to pay their bills and keep the lights on, and yet they still get pressured to tithe and give money to their church while the pastor is living totally fine. It breaks my fucking heart. And now I work in the nonprofit space, and there's a lot of issues with like the nonprofit world as a whole when it comes to administrative costs and transparency, but we're held to such high standards. Like we have to report this shit. Like if we want to keep our tax exempt status, we have to make sure that everything is locked down. And I don't see that same thing for churches. I feel like if you're a church, you can't just say that you're a church and just leave it at that. You need to prove that you're actually doing something with this money that you're taking in. Otherwise, yeah, go pull a, Greg Locke and just piss it away.
I mean, they're getting. I'm paying their portion of their taxes for them. They need to be doing something if everyone else is going to be footing the bill.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you want to know that your money's actually doing something, right?
Right. And if they're not, then they can pay taxes like the rest of us.
Yeah.
Which is fine with me too.
Bingo.
I think they're a business and they should be paying taxes.
Income is income. I don't care what they say.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. In here in Canada, if you're given a gift of money, they don't tax you on that.
Really?
Yeah. They don't tax us on lottery either.
Oh.
You just are a better country up there, aren't you? You win the Powerball, you could win $3 trillion. And they're like, all right, here's your check for $45, sir. Congratulations.
Yeah. I know. We can play your Powerball now, apparently. But
great.
If we win the Powerball, the US will keep like their 30% or something. So
58?
Crazy high.
It's over half. It's over half.
What?
Yeah.
It's insane.
And here's the funny thing. Everybody's ticket sales goes into a pool, right? How'd you pay for your ticket? With your paycheck that you already paid taxes on.
Yeah. Probably paid taxes when you bought the ticket too.
I think those are just like flat $2 or whatever. But that $2 came out of my paycheck where I already paid all my federal taxes.
Yeah.
So now after all the taxed money goes into a pot, they're like, and then we will tax that. We'll take half of that too. It's a scam, dude. It's a scam.
Wow.
I'll look up exactly how much it is. I think it's
my dad used to, before he passed away, he used to call the lottery stupid people's tax. So yeah, you say that now, Dad, but I've won on Keno a whole bunch of times, buddy.
Yeah, I think one of the bigger travesties in the United States is how, besides how the IRS has been gutted to the point where they can only afford to audit and punish poor people for making mistakes on their taxes, which goes into how we've made it so complicated to do taxes. But at the same time, it's insane thinking about how our tax policies have influenced the gross income inequality in this country, because it's super easy to just not pay yourself an income so you don't have income tax, but instead you can just be paid with corporate shares, and you can just write off your house and your private jet as a business expense. That's not my entity. That's the other person, because corporations are people too. So, that's a whole thing, and they make it really complicated to understand, but it's important and it's fucked up. And we don't even get health care.
You guys need some serious help down there. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, it's...
The only thing I can tell you is, I was joking earlier when I said we're full, but it's just a border between us. You guys are welcome up here, man. Get away from that shit.
Yeah.
Of course, no more 4th of July, but...
Oh.
I haven't been celebrating that for quite some time.
Yeah.
Well, we have ours a few days before yours anyway, so...
Yeah, I've struggled with 4th of July
Not
for
that
a long time.
Pay attention.
It's, it's hard to celebrate Independence Day just as an American. And I'm not even a fuck this country, I hate being an American, blah, blah, blah. But also that's... We've messed up a lot of things. We're celebrating our independence from the British. You mean that time that we came to a country that already had a bunch of people, and we just said, this is ours now. And we need to build it, but I don't want to. Let's bring in some other people, and we'll just make them do it. And we will just not address how that's ruined millions and millions of lives. And we're just going to pretend that didn't happen and set off some fireworks. Thereby,
you are not a patriot, okay? Get your CRT out of here, all right?
And that's the thing, is that I think that inherently I am a patriot, because I believe that collectively we can do things to improve the country. I think that if you love, like, if I didn't on some level love this, I wouldn't say necessarily like this country, but like what it could be and like all of the people, all of my neighbors, then yeah, I would just say like fuck it, it can't change. But it's like being willing to see the shit show, call it out because you want it to do better is an act of love. If I didn't love it, I wouldn't give a shit.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah,
And I
take
agree with
that,
you. I agree with that.
Patriots.
Yeah, suck it, Patriots.
Yeah.
All you New England bastards.
Just to clarify something here. Whoops, daisy. Here we go. Yeah, Canadian citizenship is hard to obtain. Yeah, it's actually hard to obtain citizenship in any country, really.
Yeah.
But
that's why I'm gonna just sneak over there. Hello.
Unless you have lineage ties, like if all of my family was British, I could become a British citizen if I wanted to. I have a friend that's doing that actually. So
I already figured out how I'm getting into Canada.
yeah.
I'm just gonna pick up a ladder and just start walking towards the border, like through like the customs and all
Get a
that stuff.
clipboard?
Yeah, or a clipboard. And I'll just be, excuse me. Can you get that door for me? Yeah, thank you so much. And you just walk right through. If you're holding a ladder, they will let you in literally anywhere.
Yeah, but you didn't say sorry.
Oh, that's how they're like, wait a minute.
Wait,
You said apologies, not sorry. Get out of here.
Wait a minute. Give me.
Oh, but wait there before you go there. Here, have a Timmy's.
Yes, I will take your Timmy's.
What do you mean?
This is McDonald's coffee, American. And then the sirens
funny?
go off.
Here in Canada, McDonald's bought out the old company that Timmy's was using to make their coffee. So now McDonald's coffee tastes like Timmy's coffee.
In Canada or
Like-
everywhere?
In Canada.
Okay.
I'm not sure about the States. I've not drank McDonald's coffee in the States. I used to think that McDonald's coffee was, put a couple more ingredients in it and it'd be grill cleaner. But now it's much better. I like McDonald's coffee now because it's basically the old Timmy's recipe. Timmy's is still really good, but McDonald's is actually drinkable now that they changed it. Anyway, well, Genevieve, we've gone the hour.
yeah,
We have.
I know time flies, right? Like
it does. It does. Especially.
But you're welcome. Well, obviously it's your after party. You don't have to be in it if you don't want to, but if you got a little bit more time, we'd love to have you stick around. We're going to take a bit of a break though, so you can finish your salad. That's probably nice and wilted by now.
It's beautiful.
Is it? And the croutons
I'm-
are all mushy.
I'm gonna house this for sure.
And then I will drop another link for you if you want to jump in for a little bit and say hi to some of the folks that have been screaming your name in the chat.
Yeah.
They've been chanting.
Yeah, but thanks for
Yeah.
coming on here and
Of course.
finally.
Finally, I know. It's funny that we've been trying to make this show happen, especially since, as we've addressed, I don't have much of a deconversion story. More of like a I don't know.
How you rose to activism because
Yeah.
of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been a whole thing. Hang in
And-
there, fellow Americans.
In the after party, I can break down what happens if you take the cash lump sum option for the lottery. It is disgusting. It's a long art. There's so many things taken out. It's tragic. But you'll have to tune in for the after show to hear it. Ba-da-ba. Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba.
Jazz hands.
Let's talk about tax policy.
That's
Exciting.
just let me put on my tax party dress and we'll get rid of it.
Yeah.
If any guys out there in the chat want to jump in, just let us know and we'll get you a link to you and send us a message. We'll get you in here. But yeah, let's put this one in the books. Ooh, Deadpool's coming in. Holy shit, I haven't seen him in a while.
Deadpool.
Just don't piss off Deadpool because he's got all these knives and
Nah.
shit. He even makes them, and
That's okay.
he's this unique skill where he could like throw it through the internet and it'll come
Yeah.
flying out of your computer And you
That's
go right
okay.
to
If he pisses me off enough, I know where you live. I was at his house
Bum,
yesterday.
bum, bum.
I will take
Cool.
back the birthday presents that I gave your son.
Oh,
I got an
I'm
idea.
just kidding. I would never do that to him.
If he
Wait, what
pisses
the
me
kid
off,
do?
I'm gonna take one of my batarangs and throw it, and then I'll put it in the mail, ship it to you, and then
Okay.
it'll get to you, and you can go over to his place and throw it the rest of the way.
Boom, done. Done. That sounds great.
Together, everyone achieves more. Teamwork.
That's right.
Awesome.
It'll be the vibrating in the package, so you'll know it's ready to fly when it gets to the other end. But thanks, guys, for hanging out with us. I hope you guys had fun tonight. It's great having you on, Genevieve. I'm so glad we were finally able to get this going.
Me too.
And my patrons, you guys, from the heart, you guys, thank you for everything you do for the show.
From
Means
a
lot.
different part of my body, I say thank you. You can guess.
That's the after party. That's the OnlyFans version. I mean, anyway. But yeah, that's about it, guys. Thank you, everybody. We're gonna get into the after party. We're taking a break, so go and have your wee-wees and grab a drinky, and the link to the after party is in the description box below. Also, some of Genevieve's links, like if you want to stalk her on Facebook, you can, and also she does the show with Dave Warnock. The link to that Dave's page that has the whole list of those shows is down below, and it's the Dave Warnock Dying Out Loud channel there on YouTube, and you can find Jen hanging out with that crazy guy as well. Until then, guys. Oh yeah, they're a lot of fun. I actually listen to them when I'm at work because I'm never around when they're live. Once in a while, but I always pop into the chat. You see me in the chat before.
I do.
Until then, yeah. Until then, guys, like I always say at the end of these interviews, like the late great Christopher Hitchens once said, it's called faith because it's not knowledge. And we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.